All right, I think we're ready to begin. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Ed Arnold, and I'm Vice President of Products here at LeveragePoint. I'd like to welcome all of you to another one of our monthly webinars of thought leadership in value-based strategy, sponsored by LeveragePoint. LeveragePoint provides the only software solution for value-based pricing. We offer a SaaS-based collaboration platform that links all cross-functional team members involved in building and executing a value-based strategy that changes the way companies create, communicate, and capture value. And you can find out more about us from our website at leveragepoint.com. Now, during the webinar, if you have any specific questions or comments, please feel free to enter them in the right-hand panel in the question section. And then later we'll respond to as many of them as we can. Also, I'd like to ask everyone to take a moment at the end of the webinar to fill out a very brief survey when you exit today. Okay, now let me introduce today's presenters. Today we have members of the LeveragePoint team here to provide a recap of the major innovations we've released in 2014, and also to get a peek into our future releases. We've done this in previous years, and we know it's a popular topic for both our existing customers as well as people who are considering the LeveragePoint platform as a solution for their business. So joining me today in his first webinar appearance for LeveragePoint is Brian Hannon, Director of Major Accounts, and Aaron Miller, Director of Customer Service. So thanks for joining me today, guys. So looking at 2014, I'd like to provide a little bit of context. We think that 2014 was a very good year for LeveragePoint platform in terms of adoption, because we saw high levels of customer engagement as measured by active users, logins, value model creation, and we're especially proud to have a 5x increase in overall collaboration. And I'd like to say that there are multiple factors responsible for this. First, I think we have some very strong value evangelists inside our customer enterprises who are doing a great job in pushing best practices using a scalable platform. And also, our product development team is doing a great job in listening to the feedback we're getting from users, and then rapidly, by using an agile process of translating that feedback into enhancements in our monthly releases. So bottom line, as our base continues to grow, the product continues to evolve better and faster. Another source of inspiration comes from our interactions with several industry thought leaders, many of whom appeared in our monthly webinars this year. So I'm proud to say we've had several authors on, such as Stefan Liaozu, and Mike Wilkinson and Harry McDivitt, and Joanne Smith, George Cressman, and Chris Provine, and you see some of their book titles here. They shared their insights and also answered some very excellent questions from our audience. And we've also had industry leaders like Frank Froman from Evonik and Laurent Gambier from Schneider Electric, and they shared their firsthand experiences of implementing a value-based approach. And of course, we had Kevin Mitchell from the Professional Pricing Society to share his perspectives as well. And so all the recordings for these folks who you see here are available on our website. And I want to thank them all again for their wisdom and their support this year. And we are already working on an equally impressive lineup for next year's webinar series. I also want to point out that LeveragePoint published a number of important white papers this year. These are intended to be helpful resources for our customers, but they are made available to anyone who visits our website. So 3 I'd like to point out in particular. These were the most popular ones we've had this year as measured by downloads. So the first one is 8 Ways Spreadsheets Undermine Profits by Michael Dunn. And then the one in the middle, Delivering Value Pricing Through B2B Sales by Mike Wilkinson. And then finally on the right, we have a white paper from the master himself, Tom Nagel, and his paper on emerging from the Great Recession, 8 keys to driving profit growth and customer value from the C-suite. And then finally, I'd like to add that we launched our value strategy blog this year with regular contributions from many of the thought leaders that I've shown you so far and others. So please sign up if you want a regular stream of first-rate content from our website at no cost. All right, so let's talk about some of the enhancements we made to the platform this year. And as many of our customers know, LeveragePoint is often used in helping new product launches through the stage gate process, as you see here, as well as in the marketing and sales execution in the commercialization phase. And what we've learned is, and what our customers have learned, is that having a platform like this breaks down the functional silos that often derail strategy execution. And so by doing so, this leads to better decisions across multiple areas such as product design, pricing, of course, all the way through the sales process. Now, the reason I showed this is that when we think about our product roadmap themes in 2014, we considered enhancements in two major areas and two major themes. So on the left-hand side, that is the product innovation and launch side, we made several enhancements that made it easier than ever to build and use value models effectively, which Aaron will be talking about in a little bit. And on the right-hand side, we're really excited that for sales enablement, we made some really significant improvements to help salespeople communicate value more effectively. And so here to talk about that in a little detail is our lead sales guy, Brian Hannon. Brian?
Great, thanks Ed. Very happy to be here, and as you mentioned, excited to be able to show our new sales tool on a larger scale. As Ed mentioned, we've been working over the past year to deliver this, and I think a couple of the drivers are summed up by a couple surveys here, which I'll touch on before we actually show you a brief glimpse of the tool itself. The information in this slide really gets down to the fact that on average, most sales people and most sales forces are very effective at talking about their own company and their own products. They have a lot of product knowledge to bring to the table. Where they start to fall short is really being able to deliver useful information and knowledge about their client's situation, their client's problems, and really the impact that their offerings can have on the client. And so this is really what's driving us in terms of delivering a new sales tool that will enable salespeople to have those better conversations earlier in the sales cycle. And so the other survey that we wanted to touch on was really the need from sales teams and the requirement from their marketing teams to deliver these tools in a more consumable fashion, to deliver online tools and tools that salespeople can use without a lot of training and without a lot of preparation. And so hopefully that's what we're going to show you today. So this is a glimpse of our online value proposition, and it's actually in a PowerPoint form. So I'll move over here to our interactive view. And so as a salesperson, I can log into the LeveragePoint application just as our existing clients do on the pricing or on the marketing side. And I can choose a value proposition that closely relates to the particular opportunity that I'm working on. In this case, we have an example of a data storage solution. And as I start to talk through this, whether I choose to talk interactively with the client or whether I use this as a way to prepare for the meeting, I'm able to touch on some high-level points. I can talk about the value that my offering will bring to the client over and above, or instead of, I should say, their existing solution. And so the example that we have here is an existing data storage solution that's costing the client what we estimate is almost $3.5 million per year. what we're offering is a solution that is much less expensive to maintain, and we've shown it over a 3-year period. And so as I'm talking through with the client, I'm able to change information dynamically and begin to show the numbers in different ways. I can show our solution over a 3-year horizon or show the cost per year, depending on where I want to lead the conversation. You'll notice that the charts are also able to be changed as I talk through my value story. And so once I start talking about specifics in terms of the value drivers that many of you are familiar with, I can change the graph and start talking about the specific value drivers that are incorporated in this value proposition. You'll notice underneath as well, we have assumptions that the value drivers are based on. And in a similar way, I can make changes to those assumptions based on, in this case, number of end users or the cost per gigabit of storage. And again, I can update the information dynamically. Now, as I see the 3 value drivers, and as a salesperson want to touch specifically on each one, I can begin to drill down into the value drivers by clicking on the buttons towards the bottom of the screen. And so here we have a more detailed explanation of a reduction in storage and costs and why that is so, as well as avoiding data loss and improving employee productivity. And then, of course, I can go back to my original summary and begin reviewing what we've talked about. And finally, as a salesperson, I'm able to draw upon other information that's included in the value proposition. So whether it's case studies or data sheets that are included, or even a video that I may want to show particular clients, I can bring them up very easily and run them directly from the online screen if I choose to. So that's just a quick snapshot. One other thing I will mention is our ability to generate a PowerPoint deck directly from that online value proposition. So even as I've made changes during the session, I can press a button and we can output the value proposition in PowerPoint form that reflects those changes, and then leave that behind with the client or email that to them directly towards the end of the meeting. So this is a quick view of our value proposition. Again, we're very happy and we're getting great feedback from clients that have seen it and are using it today in the field. So we're happy to spend additional time with anyone who's interested. And so with that, I'll pass this over to Aaron.
Thank you, Brian. In addition to the great progress that we've made on value propositions for sales this year, we're continually improving the core platform for our power users, most of whom have transitioned from using spreadsheets to our application due to its structured, powerful modeling capability. In 2013, we showed you enhanced unit of measure functionality, we showed you new library capabilities, and even the ability to easily copy data across models. Now let's take a closer look at some of the new functionality from 2014. More powerful search with fuzzy matching. With fuzzy matching for the homepage search, you can now find your value models more easily than ever. The search results include words that were entered into the search field, either misspelled or truncated or both, as you can see in the example here. So no matter how you type your words in, you'll be able to find the results that you're looking for. Freeze panes in feature benefit and benefit value driver mapping. This was a real accomplishment for our engineering team and an exciting enhancement for many of our users. If your feature and benefit lists tend to get long, as they do for a lot of our customers, you can now scroll through the list and map the relationships between features and benefits, or benefits and value drivers, without losing track of where you are, much like you can do in any Excel or Google spreadsheet. Copy value drivers within models. This is another really exciting development for those building value models. power users, and infrequent users alike. Quite often we found that users were creating several value drivers that were very similar, many with many variables in each, where only maybe one or two variables in each value driver were actually different. So now what you can do is easily, quickly make a copy of a value driver using the drop-down menu as you see here, then modify the name of the new version, and then customize it to meet your needs. And this has really helped, build value models a lot more quickly, especially when you have value drivers that are very related to each other. Select unit of measure for value drivers. Though we've had the ability to show value model results in multiple different units of measure since 2013, we've now also made it possible to define any value driver on any unit of measure. So this is really great because you no longer need to convert your data to standardized units when creating new value drivers. You can just create a value driver and select the appropriate unit of measure for the calculated result. And then all of the conversions to standardize your model between all of the value drivers, that's done for you behind the scenes. Value driver sorting. Though the place to perform the sort is in the value driver list below, one of the key benefits is that when you sort the list, the value model chart updates as well. As you can see here, now I'll show you before and after. And you can see that the value model chart at the top changes as well as the list at the bottom. You can sort alphabetically or numerically to suit your situation. But as a best practice, we always recommend to sort your value drivers from largest to smallest to improve both the aesthetic of the chart and to help focus on the key areas of greatest impact for your customers. Entering variables directly into the variables list. So this is another feature that was actually a direct result of customer feedback. Traditionally in our application, value models were built by creating value drivers first and then creating the variables necessary to quantify them. But many of our users found that, especially with pre-existing data sets, it was easiest to enter the variables first and then use them to think through the value calculations. Automatic value formatting of variables. For me, this is one of the coolest new features to come out in a really long time. With automatic value formatting, there's no button to push. There's no options menu to open. When you include certain keywords in the names of your variables, the data type will actually be set automatically. For example, include the word percent or portion or even a percent symbol as you see here, and the variable will be created as a percent. Include the word cost, the word price, or the word value, or use a currency symbol in the name of your variable, and the data type will automatically be set to a currency. It's as easy as that. All other variables will be set as counts, and you can still use the variable options menu to toggle between the three types as before. Locking variables to a range. Locking variables has been a key part of preparing value models for sales for a long time. But now you can also lock key variables to a range, setting a minimum and maximum value, just like you could do with price. This is especially helpful to make sure that when you publish your value model, when you publish your value propositions, sales users won't be able to accidentally change data outside the normal range and avoid potentially embarrassing mistakes in front of customers. Deleting all unused variables. As a final step to cleaning up your model, whether it's for internal use or publication to a value proposition, it's usually best to delete any unused variables. Variable lists can get long enough as it is. There's no need to include superfluous data. But with just 2 clicks, you can remove all of the unneeded variables. And finally, re-enabling the save button. This is absolutely huge, especially for those who work in an office with a spotty internet connection or who are constantly traveling on the road. If you lost your internet connection while working on a model before, you could lose all of your work. Now, if you try to save without realizing you lost the internet, your save button will disable. As soon as the internet is back, simply re-enable the save button and then click Save. Disaster averted. Now here's Ed to talk a bit about what's to come in 2015.
All right, so thank you, Aaron, for running those down. As you can see, we provided a whole lot of new enhancements and functionality that does make the process of value modeling easier, especially with product and pricing and marketing teams, but also to ensure that they are better quality as well, so avoiding a lot of the common mistakes in putting together a value model that wouldn't be caught in a spreadsheet. And so I think, you know, my favorite one is the delete all unused variables.
Yep.
I think is that your favorite too?
I like the automatic formatting.
Automatic formatting. We all have our favorites. And again, as Aaron mentioned, these come directly from our user base. I think it's part of the reason why our usage continues to grow, because people are finding this more and more usable as a platform for all types of decisions. So thank you, Aaron, for that. So that's just some of the highlights of some of the things that we did this year. And so now I want to talk a little bit about what's ahead in 2015. And so, you know, we expect to continue along those themes of easier value modeling and on the sales enablement. So just a few words about the value modeling side. So we're in the midst right now of working on some significant upgrades to the value modeling tool that will help users define their units of measures better. And we've learned through experience that this is one of the most common issues with effective modeling. And so we'll plan to begin repreviewing that new functionality with our customers early in the new year. It will help a lot. Now, closely related to that is some new functionality and graphics that greatly simplify what we call acquisition efficiency situations. So in its simple state, what we're talking about is a case where a unit of your solution delivers more output than a unit of a competitor's offering. And I think it's fair to say that with conventional EVE charts displaying that, and especially when you're thinking about price setting, gets a little complicated. But we've come up with a very innovative way to address that issue. So some customers will find that very, very useful. And on the sales enablement side, we continue to add new functionality here that's going to help scale the big sales rollouts that we're expecting and beginning to see already in next year. So for example, giving marketers the ability to integrate other digital content into the value propositions templates, some of which Brian had shown in his demo, and then better ways to manage data across families of value propositions, and then finally offline capability, which I know multiple customers have mentioned in the past. So look for these as well as other enhancements in our upcoming monthly release cycles. As you know, we're very responsive to our customer needs and feedback, so no doubt we'll be adding other enhancements to this list. Okay, so now I'd like to invite our audience to ask questions that they want to pose to the three amigos here. And you just add them now on the questions tab. A couple have already come in, but first let me give you a quick announcement about our January webinar. And we're really excited to have a new thought leader join our webinar, Andy Paul. And he is an author and a sales guru. And he'll discuss how to maximize value in selling. And a couple of his books are up on the slide there. Zero Time Selling and Amp Up Your Sales, which I think Brian's read both of those, right, Brian?
Yes.
Yes. So look for an email soon about that soon. All right. Now let's get to the Q&A. And You'll see our contact information there for those who are new to LeveragePoint. You can contact us there. And so first question that's come in, is there a reading access to sales rep that's different from regular editing access? So let me answer that question, and maybe Aaron can clarify it. But yes, I mean there are two modes in LeveragePoint. There's the content development mode, and then there's the sales UI, which is meant to provide a communication or presentation platform. Now, aspects of the sales UI are editable, but you decide what you want to be edited, right? So there, as Aaron showed, there's the data that can be locked down. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, that's right. And the roles are managed centrally by, and any user logs in from the exact same interface, from the same login page, and the system will recognize whether there should be a sales user or on the marketing side. So no change, for all your users. They all have the same process.
Right. Right. Okay. Another question: can I customize the sales tool and PowerPoint slides to reflect my company's logos, colors, and branding? Oh yes, absolutely. The value proposition templates are fully customizable. We do that all the time for our customers, both the dynamic version, the online version, as well as the PowerPoint. And also, you can have multiple templates as well. So if you want to have different looks for different types of products, we can handle that. All right. There was a question here about the timing for when the iPad app will be released. So, a couple points on the iPad. One, the value propositions are already optimized for the iPad in a browser mode, but we do have an app in development. I think it's at Apple right now, right?
Yeah, it's currently being reviewed by Apple, so we're going through their process, and the actual downloadable app from the store should be available shortly. But as Ed mentioned, and just to clarify, we have two different interfaces for the online. For the sales value propositions. You can access them in a desktop optimized version, or you can access them on the iPad in an iPad optimized version. We have customers using both. We have the same customers using both depending on which platform they're using at a given time. So that's already available today.
All right, great. So another question, I think this one is more for Brian. And that is, sort of when and where in the sales process are the value propositions best used?
Yeah, it's a great question. We believe actually the value proposition can be used at many different areas during the sales process. In general, we believe that the earlier you can introduce it, the more effective it will be. We see our clients using it as preparation for calls. So not actually showing the value proposition, but using it to prepare for the conversations they're going to have, as well as obviously showing either PowerPoints or the interactive value proposition at various stages. And one other thing I'll comment, that the way we created the value proposition was to allow marketing to keep it very simple and allow salespeople to introduce it early, but also allow people to get more complex in terms of changing numbers and changing applications as you move through the sales process. So if you think about using it in a simple way and then using it in more complex ways as the sales process matures, that's really our goal with the value prop.
Okay, thank you, Brian. All right, another question, and this is more on the value modeling side of things, I guess. Do customers use LeveragePoint beyond new products? So I know we talk a lot about using LeveragePoint. A lot of our customers do use LeveragePoint on the innovation side of things. But we have a number of customers who are using it for existing products as well. And these could be anything from very strategic products or products that are going through a repositioning or going into new markets. Or one situation that we see quite often is when a product is being under competitive attack. That same methodology of value-based pricing or value-based strategy rather certainly applies to existing products as much as it does to new products. And I think one of the advantages of having a platform is now that you have a scalable process, you don't have to prioritize which products you look at in terms of value. So you have that capability that can be used in a lot of different ways. And that's certainly where we're seeing more and more our customers going. All right, so that's a good question. All right, so let's see. It looks like we have one last question here, which is, well, it's more of like a challenge. Why are value propositions better than spreadsheets? So I could probably go on for a long time on that, but I'm going to let Brian talk about that from a sales perspective. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think this is probably a personal opinion, and I'm sure everyone has different opinions on the effectiveness of spreadsheets. But as we talk with more salespeople, we find that they are a bit reluctant to use spreadsheets in front of clients or interactively with clients. It's certainly not all of them, but there is what appears to be a majority of them who are very comfortable with the PowerPoint presentations, but once you get into actual Excel spreadsheets, they feel out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. And I'll just add that, spreadsheets are great, but they're not very scalable and they're not very collaborative. So as you're sharing information across organizations, and often we're asked to load spreadsheets into LeveragePoint tool, and a lot of times the author of that spreadsheet is gone, and therefore a lot of the logic is misunderstood, or there are actually errors that we sometimes run into. What's nice about having things on a platform is that everything is very transparent, it's easy to manage, easy to control. So a lot of advantages there if you want to scale value. All right, so one last question is, for a new LeveragePoint customer, how long does it take to get teams on board to start working on value models? And the answer to that is, very, very quickly. We have a process that can get teams up and started in as little as 30 days. And so if you're interested in trying that out, we have some programs there that have teams try it before they commit to subscription. Just contact sales on the screen there, and we'll give you some more information. All right, so looking at the question list one last time, it looks like I think we're done. So I'd like to thank my colleagues, Brian and Aaron, for joining me today. And also thanks everyone for watching, and we have our little holiday card up on the screen. I wish everyone happy holidays and a happy new year. Please remember to fill out that exit survey when you leave today. And also, you will be getting copies of these slides and a link to the recording. So if you want to share this with your colleagues, we'd be happy if you did that. All right, thanks everyone. Until next time.